Well, hi everyone, Ron Vaillant here. Last week I posted a video on the Alberta Prosperity Project. It's a group that is advocating for Alberta separation. And I posted that because it is a big deal in Alberta. There's probably 20% of the people advocating for separation. And with this next election coming up, there's going to be a lot of power players that are going to be adding money and promoting the whole thing. So the reason I shared it is because it is a growing thing, and I want people to be aware of it. I'm learning about it myself as well, and so I posted that video. And one thing to remember is that when I post videos, it's not that I agree with every little thing of the videos that are posted, but to help people to keep abreast of what's really going on, and be on the cutting edge of looking down the road. And so there's some really serious problems that I see here with this Alberta Prosperity Project as I go through and edit the question and answer session. That's what I'm posting this week. It was just going to be the question and answer session, but I can't help myself. I have to basically do commentary and warn people what's going on. Otherwise, it would fly over people's heads, I think, because they're not in the know of some of the stuff I know. So we're going to go into it here, and let's go through it. And if you want to see the entire question and answers, there'll be a link below the video here of the original video, and you can go and listen to that. But a lot of it's going to be cut out here with my commentary. All right.
We are going to have a Q&A now here with Dr. Dennis Modry and Tanner.
So Dana, I want to make a couple comments to start with, though, as I usually do. So Tanner gave a very in-depth discussion about being landlocked. I want to simplify it by saying we're not landlocked, we're policy locked. Switzerland and a number of other countries are landlocked as well, but the international norm is for countries that are landlocked to permit these countries to have access to tidewater. And even the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, Articles 124 and 125, ensure that landlocked countries have access to port.
Okay, here we have a monster, huge red flag talking about Alberta being landlocked and relying upon the United Nations treaties or articles in order to be able to have access to tidewater. First of all, it's United Nations, that's putting us under UN Agenda 2030. Stephen Harper and the Conservatives signed on to it in 2015. Pierre Poilievre was there too. And Trudeau's implementing it right now. We are under this draconian Agenda 2030 by the United Nations. And here he's talking about, Dennis Modry's talking about going and using United Nations in order to give Alberta tidewater access. The failure to see that the United Nations is the enemy of the people here is the number one thing. And to go ahead and rely upon them, this is absolutely unbelievable. So this is something that is a huge red flag that these people have no clue as to what's really going on, even though they say many things that, the average person would agree with. But not seeing this point here is huge and monster.
But I just want to paint a very quick picture for you to think about this, because this is what we have advocated for, is this vision for Alberta to become the most free and prosperous nation in the world to work, live, raise a family, and start a business, where for the first time since Canada was incorporated and since Alberta and Saskatchewan were incorporated into Canada, that First Nations are actual true equal partners in the creation of a new nation of Alberta.
Okay, Dennis goes on and waxes eloquent about all the wonderful things about having the Indigenous coming on board. He states that 90% of the Indigenous population would be on board with what they've got going, and on and on. It all sounds wonderful, but you have to kind of look below the surface here. So he mentioned that they have under their governance, they have a section on Indigenous. And so if you go to their website, Alberta Prosperity Project, you click on education, and then below there is the governance thing you can download. And it's section 6, and then also it's number 5.2, and this is the bombshell right here. Now, most people wouldn't ever pick this up. I just happen to know about it, so I'm sharing it with you. So 5.2 says that the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples is recognized as both constitutionally binding and binding as an expression of both customary and conventional international law. So basically, as an independent Alberta, the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples is required to be constitutionally binding for Alberta. Now, I've done many videos on this, and this is the document here, and it has some real bombshells in it. If you want to know really what it's all about, if you look up Ron Vaillant on YouTube with UNDRIP, UN-DRIP, you'll see different videos. You can also go to Mark Friesen's website, ffcs.info, and hit UNDRIP as well, and then there's many videos there. But the important part is that there is the letter that I wrote that ended up being sent to all the MPs and senators in Canada before the Bill C-15 vote was to happen in regards to making all Canadian law according to UNDRIP. And if you read that, you'll be able to see how bad this document really is. It's 25 years in the making by all the so-called experts of Indigenous affairs, and yet the document itself has no definition of what Indigenous is, and neither does the UN. They don't have an official definition. But in Law Dictionary, Indigenous means born of the land. And so what this is going to do is cause havoc with our land rights. So Article 26 of UNDRIP states that the Indigenous have the rights to the lands, territories, and resources to which they have traditionally owned, occupied, or otherwise used. So right now in Canada, all across every province, land claims are being made behind the scenes and no one knows about. And it's already been done in BC starting in 2019. And so they will be claiming the rights to your land, actually, is what's going to happen. Everything. And also, the other big bombshell of UNDRIP is Article 46. Okay, nothing in this declaration, that's the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, may be interpreted as implying for any state. So that would be the Alberta independent country that they're talking about creating here. That any state, people, group, or person, any right to engage in any activity or to perform any act contrary to the Charter of the United Nations. So essentially what will happen by having UNDRIP constitutionally binding in the new independent Alberta is that nothing can go against the Charter of the United Nations. So this is an absolute, kill shot to the movement of Alberta being independent. And people need to go and start warning people about this and saying, look, this APP, what they're proposing here is absolutely, like a Trojan horse, really, is what it looks like to me. It's like they're almost, usurping or co-opting the independence movement and cattle shooting it down into destruction with this UNDRIP document. So go ahead and download it and read some other stuff. That's the little bit that I found out. There's also 5.3 as part of what the APP is trying to do, and they said that the right of Indigenous ownership of resources in Alberta, including mines and minerals, is recognized, and a meaningful resource revenue sharing mechanism will be constantly entrenched. So yeah, they're going to claim all of the minerals and resources and everything else like that. But the thing is down the road, it's who's Indigenous? That's the whole question. Indigenous means born of the land. So it's going to be like just absolute havoc. And here these guys are promoting this. It's just unbelievable. So one thing to watch out for then is what I see here is that the independence movement in Alberta is going to be co-opted, or even right now, as I see this with the APP, you've got the Independence Party. I understand that there's new leadership there. Now, what leadership is that? Same thing with the Wild Rose leadership review there, or something going on with just recently a vote as well. So the parties that would probably advocate for Alberta independence are the Independence Party, the Wild Rose, and the Alberta Advantage. Of the three, the best would be the Alberta Advantage on account of their constitution and everything else, but people just don't know about them. It's the Wild Rose that people are going to back, and so watch to see that that movement is not being co-opted as well. It's just unbelievable. This is a reason why everything is going in a certain direction, because all these different angles are covered, by these globalists. So anyhow, wrap it up here. Something to look at and to warn people about. All right, thank you. Bye.